Sir, is there any relevance of smrutis here?
You can say that because in Hindu culture these solutions assumed the form of smrutis. The solutions, that means the stress management techniques and principles. What are smrutis? These are scriptures. Smriti means memory or remembrance. These are compiled with the purpose of guiding all the people in society, ranging from a worker to a king. The guidance was aimed at harmony, integrity, as well as prosperity at all levels in the society. The practical guidance in Smritis is supposed to facilitate emancipation of even a common man who does not understand philosophical texts and the semantics. The guidance in Smritis seems to have evolved through enlightened, selfless and prudent discussions and consensus amongst learned wise men in the process of overall historical, geographic, physical, environmental, social and political compulsions and limitations of scientific and technological development. They aimed at a harmonious, non-competitive, orderly and complementary functioning of society, for which they advocated some rules and regulations. They advocated that each one should do his or her own duty, that is job, whether considered to be lower or higher, and nurture the complementarity in the society. There are a number of smritis named after Vasishtha, Narada, Parashara, Yajnavalkya, Manu and so on. Later, the smritis were also interpreted in the form of books such as Nirnaya Sindhu, Dharma Sindhu and so on. What did they do? These books provided solutions to a number of questions and served as guidelines for a long time. It is interesting to note that these scriptures provided guidance in terms of daily personal conduct for number one, the different age groups. Number two, males and females from the time of waking up to the time of going to bed. 3. The role in life through different stages of life. For example, as a son, as a father, as a grandfather and so on. Then throughout the year and different occupations also. So they provided solutions for young and old, men and women, and different seasons and different stages of life and different relationships. So that was the vast field. There was guidance about jobs, marriage, care during pregnancy, care of mother and newborn, grooming of children, various ceremonies, festivals, celebrations, pilgrimages, fairs, and guidance available in diverse matters such as taming and domesticated animals also, different birds also. There was guidance about eating different articles on different occasions. There was guidance about cooking in different vessels. So there was guidance for almost everything in life. While the pilgrimages served to bring people together and purge their minds of petty considerations, personal griefs, pains, frustrations, and compulsory observance of celebrations ensured prevention of loneliness, cynicism, and depression. Do you understand what I am saying? I am trying to clarify that the pilgrimages also served a function of overcoming depression. These celebrations and festivities, they help in overcoming loneliness, frustrations, depressions and apathy. So that is the importance of Smritis. And all this in addition nurtured the social cohesiveness, that is social support for an individual. In the interiors of India, the support system took the form of Pravachanacar, who explains the philosophical principles, and Kirtankar, who is also explaining the philosophical principles, but through more entertaining forms. For example, there may be bhajans or songs, there may be dance, a story, and there was also another form, that is Puranic, who actually reads the Puranas and may explain them. So what are Puranas? Puranas are scriptures again that describe the creation of universe, dynasties, traditions, customs, conventions, codes of conduct, and so on and so forth. They also describe the gems, the astrology, and so on. The support system in villages was also in the form of a Vaidya, that is a physician and surgeon who treats traditionally. In addition, the support systems included the members of the joint families, the elderly relatives, friends and neighbors. In villages, therefore, one finds a reasonable balance between stressors and support systems. Of course, this is now dwindling, but it was there.
Would I feel better if I go and stay in some village?
No, as I said, these all support systems are now rapidly dwindling. But overall, the traditional support systems, though they are missing, what has happened is that new support systems are not yet evolved. So in villages, the traditional support systems are dwindling on the one hand, and new support systems have yet to evolve. Thus, present state of life is full of drastic, rapidly intensifying and complicating stressors and increasing the frequency and number of stressors. Now, obviously, in villages, these stressors and their versatility, their complexity is relatively less, and in urban areas it is more. Therefore, the new and individualistic value system drowns us in petty selfishness, superficial glamour and quick personal prosperity. Now you can appreciate that when we talk about personal prosperity, it is aimed at pointing out the indiscriminate means which are used to achieve such prosperity. Now this leads to self-aggrandizement and arrogance, or this will lead to self-pity and guilt.
Some say that if an individual improves, manages stress, then gradually the family, the society and the whole universe would improve, manage stress. Hence, individual purification is most important. Some other says that if we improve the system, then automatically the whole universe, mankind, society and the individual would improve. Hence, the purification of system is most important. Is this not really a tug of war?
It is a tug of war. The individual can be purified if the system improves, because he or she lives within the system and in accordance with the system. Conversely, the system would be purified only if the individual contributing to it as well as controlling it is purified. Moreover, an individual is inseparable from the soul, the intelligence, the feelings, the instincts, the body, the family, the emotions, the society, the culture, art, literature, technology, religion, customs, traditions, conventions, laws and administrative rules and regulations and regulating bodies. In other words, now you can appreciate that individual and the system are in a full continuum. But if you want to say this is also a concept, even though it is a holistic concept, it is not an absolute truth. Hence, I agree and accept that there could be exceptions to this concept also. In terms of infinite purification of an individual in spite of a corrupt system, and purification of a system in spite of a corrupt majority. But barring exceptions, the individual blossoming has to be combined with universal blossoming through a holistic and all-inclusive process that ensures immortal bliss for an individual on the one hand, and policies, plans and programs to optimally fulfill all the physiological needs of all the age groups, races, religions through the day, month, season, year and life to catalyze individual blossoming. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
So this is total stress management. This is total well-being. This is holistic health. This is super living, and this is holistic renaissance. In short, the individual blossoms to blossom the society, and the society blossoms to catalyze the blossoming of an individual. This simultaneous process of individual and universal blossoming can be realized by orienting to the true self common to all. Just like, I'll give you an example. This is just like the instrumentalists and vocalists who are oriented to the directions of the master of orchestra. The global unity and harmony would ensue just as harmony, melody and rhythm are generated in an orchestra. This will be generated if we are focusing, we are attending, we are concentrating on the master of orchestra. So please understand, the global unity and harmony would ensue just as the harmony, melody and rhythm, they are generated when we concentrate towards the master of the orchestra. In absence of this, the individual emancipation is bound to remain an illusion. Remember, when I say individual emancipation, it is not the same as amassing of wealth. It is individual emancipation. Now this emancipation is bound to remain an illusion, and universal welfare, which includes, which embodies the individual blossoming, an unending mirage. It is here that I was almost convinced that the traditional, inexpensive, single, simple, easy to practice, democratic and universal solution of individual and universal problems for anyone from any ideology, race, caste, class, religion, nation, region, etc. is Namasmaran. Namasmaran is also called as Jap or Jap, Jikra and Sumiran. It is the same as Simran, that is remembering the name of God or true self, and that involves steady victory over pettiness, prejudices and all the subjectivity. Remember, you had just said that you were not convinced about the Namasmaran. Therefore I am telling that after studying all this scientific background, the medical aspects of stress and the effects of stress, the mechanisms of stress, that I became convinced that through Namasmaran, what happens is that there is inner blossoming of an individual it makes him more holistic in terms of perspective, thinking, feeling, and his own instincts as well as his or her actions. These contribute to the development of society, through which again the individual is benefited to develop this capacity to manage the stress holistically. This complementarity of help of an individual to society and help offered by the society to the individual in several ways is called as total stress management. This is the same as super living, this is the same as holistic renaissance, and this is the same as holistic health, or you may also call it total well-being. Now, this obviously involves steady victory over pettiness, prejudices and subjectivity. This is because if you want to have holistic perspective and thinking, your subjectivity has to be overcome. Your prejudices have to be overcome. Your pettiness has to be overcome. Then only gradually we can develop the holistic perspective and policies beneficial to others. And others means the whole universe when we are universal leaders, to the whole region when we are regional leaders in different fields. So let us understand once again that forgetfulness of our true self is the basic root pathology of stress, and hence nothing else but the process of reaching our true self is the remedy. As I said, focusing on the master of the orchestra is important. Similarly, as a society, we have to focus on the master of the universal orchestra, and the master of the universal orchestra is the true self, which is also called traditionally the Nama. So Namasmaran is focusing on the true master of the universal orchestra, and this is exactly similar where the instrumentalist or the vocalist focuses on the master of the orchestra of the music. I reaffirmed here that Namasmaran is associated with transcendental perspective, thinking, feeling and behavior. In other words, please understand that it is associated with global vision, policy making, plans, programs and their implementation. Now you will recall that I had mentioned about Sat Prerana, Sat Dharana, Sat Vichar, Sat Bhavana, Sat Pravrutti, Sat Vasana, Sat Sankalpa and Sat Karma or Sadachar.
Will you please explain these terms further?
Yes. Now I will not increase your patience. I must explain it now only. It is interesting and it is essential to understand also. So, Prerana is the inspiration and Sat Prerana is the inspiration that dawns on us from the absolute truth, that is Guru, and transform us from our subjective individual into an objective being. So this is a prerana or inspiration that comes from our Guru, that is absolute truth, and transform us from being a subjective individual into an objective being. This is development of holistic perspective of unity of universe in every sense. It transforms our thinking, feelings, instincts and behavior also are transformed and channelized into service of cosmic will, that is the will of Guru. We may not be consciously aware of this process initially, but we richly realize it in the course of time. Another word that you want to know is dharana. Dharana is the understanding and conviction and Sat implies the universal principle beyond space, time and consciousness that ultimately controls and sustains the universe and the inhabitants. In simple word, it is Nam or Guru. Satvichar means thinking that can act as a vehicle to reach and merge with the ultimate truth. Vichar is thinking, therefore Sadvichar is thinking so as to reach and merge with ultimate and absolute truth. Again, this absolute truth is the same as Nam or Guru. The essence of Nam or the essence of Guru in bodily form. Sadbhavana, Sat again is truth, absolute truth, and Bhavana is emotion or our feelings. Now Sadbhavana obviously would mean that it is that which lifts us to reach and merge with the sublime, trans-temporal absolute truth. It is characterized by true freedom from pettiness and subjectivity and natural concern for the freedom and emancipation of the whole universe. Now pravrutti. Pravrutti is convergence of our inclinations, our aptitude, our fixations. And on what? Fixations on Sat, that is Guru. So when it is fixed on Sat or Guru, then it becomes Sat Pravrutti. Now Sat Pravrutti is bent of our mind and irresistible yet magnificent obsession to meet Guru, to merge with the Nama, to merge with the absolute truth. That means we dissolve ourselves here in the essence of our Guru. Sadvasana is another word. It is evolving area of our passions which transforms our basal concerns into urge to merge with Nam. We are excited in being mobilized towards the absolute truth and catalyze the universal process of self-realization. Sat Sankalpa, similarly, is the synthesis and crystallization of our perspective, thoughts, feelings and instincts into a specific well-defined activity directed at individual and universal blossoming inherent to realization of universal truth. Sat Karma is every different activity of different people which helps them and others in reorienting and re-establishing ourselves in absolute truth, traditionally called as being stabilized at the lotus feet of Guru. Achar is a behavior. Thus, the dynamics of our perspective, thoughts, feelings, passions and body, that is our transactions in the field of science, philosophy, etc., at our personal, our family and social levels is called as achar. Now when it is directed and conducive to merging with truth, it is sadachar. Now this sadachar, from our point of view, since truth is the same as Nama, sadachar would mean that the activities or behavior that assist us to merge with Nama. In short, every activity and behavior conducive to universalization and infinitesimal manifestation of Namasmaran in every nook and corner of universe embodies Sat Prerana, Sat Bhavana, Sat Vichar, Sat Bhavana, Sat Pravrutti, Sat Vasana, Sat Dharma, Sat Sankalpa, Sat Karma and Sadachar.
Sir, I think I got a broad idea about your concept of stress and total stress management and Namasmaran, at least theoretically. But Can you please explain further the phenomenon or the activity of Namasmaran? I feel like listening to you more and more.
That is great. I am happy. Namasmaran means remembering the name of God, Guru, great souls such as prophets, and holy objects such as planets and stars. But the essential aspect of this is that the name or nama which we pronounce or remember actually signifies absolute truth. Therefore, Nam is actually the true self, that is the absolute truth. And the same absolute truth is referred to as Nama. It implies Brahma, Paramatma, Ishwar, the supreme, omniscient, omnipotent and omnipresent eternal God. Now this Namasmaran, therefore, may be silent or loud. It may be along music, dance, or without any music, without any dance. It may be along with a synchronization with breathing or without it. It may be in group or alone. Either it may be simultaneous count. It may be either with simultaneous counting by rosary, called as Smarani or Japamala, or without counting. The traditions vary from region to region and from religion to religion. But the universal principle underlying Namasmaran is to reorient our physiological being with our true self. Do you understand this? This actually means the physiological being means whatever we normally experience ourselves as, our heartbeats, our breathing, our hunger, all these things which we can consciously feel. Now all this existence of ours, our body, that is physiological being. And the true self is imperceptible. It is not known, it is not understood by us. So that true self is somewhere we go on, we transcend, we ascend to. So therefore please understand that Namasmaran is to reorient our physiological being, that is ascend from our material being, physical being, towards the least material or non-material or the spiritual or trans-material being, that is true self, that is beyond the physical existence and that is absolute truth. So Namasmaran is actually reorienting to absolute truth. In fact, while reorienting with true self, we re-establish the bond or connection between our physical being, physiological being with our true self. This reunification with our true self is the pinnacle or culmination of individual consciousness, which is the culmination of every activity in life. Do you get my point? What I am saying is, this is the pinnacle or culmination of every individual consciousness. Now that includes every activity in life, whatever we do right from our childhood to the old age up to the death. Everything gets culminated, that is everything becomes meaningful and worthwhile and fulfilling if and when it is directed, funneled into or channelized towards the reunification of our true self. That means it is actually the channelizing the whole life of ours into the super life, the super living, the true self. I think it should be clear by now. So, let us now understand that Namasmaran is thus a final common pathway, or it also can mean that Namasmaran opens the final common pathway of true self and funnels us into that true self which is immortal. It funnels every activity of ours into the immortal spirit. Thus, therefore, Namasmaran is yoga of yoga. In the same sense that it is the culmination of consciousness associated with every possible procedure and technique in yoga, as well as all the activities in the universe which it encompasses. So, all the activities encompassed by yoga are diverted or made transcendental to enter into the immortal spirit. That is what Namasmaran is. Therefore, it can be called as yoga of yoga. Everybody in the world, irrespective of his or her tradition and beliefs, including atheists, would eventually, ultimately and naturally reach this liberation, this nirvana, this enlightenment and this realization of self. Just as Namasmaran is yoga of yoga, it is also meditation of meditation. It is the natural and ultimate climax of every form of meditation.
Sir, can anyone experience this?
Actually, these facts have to be realized. They have to be realized with persistent practice of Namasmaran and not blindly believed in or blindly disbelieved in. It should not be a casual approach. In short, Namasmaran is a super bounty of cosmic consciousness for every individual to realize cosmic consciousness. This is truly a super bounty because a person who experiences it rises above mercenary, commercial and even professional and charity planes and manifests a super transaction in his or her own life. This is what is referred to as super living. These are just few observations to give you a rough idea. A rough idea about what is Namasmaran. Actually, Namasmaran is beyond description in words and has to be experienced, most preferably not by one or two persons, but by billions and billions.